Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. I'm very excited of the outcome of yesterday. Today we're going to review the things that I got right, the things I got wrong, and most importantly, we need to look into whether it's sustainable and what could come next for Bitcoin. On Saturday, we focus on this breakout from the falling wedge formed by the RSI 4-hour structure around here. We'd say that one of the outcomes was going to be to hit the level 56, and that once we reach this level, we also said on Sunday that there is a likelihood that we challenge the level 56 and that we could continue to 70. And we said that 70 coincides with 53K, and that will put us right where this double top was formed. You can see that the 4-hour we close kind of in between the two tops, and then after that we broke above, and then the rest is history. We reach a high so far of 57.4 depending on the exchange where you are. In terms of CPR for the month, we are about to reach the full potential of the month as defined from the 1st of February, 58.67. We're just a few bucks away from that. On the daily, we say that if we break above the level 52 to 53, which is the full resistance, is also where we printed loss of wicks, we should be able to target 55 and a more aggressive 58. One of the targets comes from the bull flag, which you can see in the screen like this, and it's got a target. I was wrong, it's actually not 62, it's actually targeting 64, just based on the bull flag. But there's a secondary target that is more conservative that I want you to be aware, because we are getting very close to that target. If we focus on this broadening formation, I have been reviewing the technical target for a broadening formation like this, also known as a megaphone. And the target, if you manage to break out from it, you need to measure the full height of the last move of the price. For example, here I'm using Fibonacci to measure it, and then you have to place it right here, and it's supposed to give a 60% target. Again, based on how high is the largest area within the broadening formation. And this is the 0618, so it's slightly higher than that. So we say that we have already reached the full target for this particular formation. I'm not saying that in the bull market Bitcoin cannot go any higher. I'm just saying that if you haven't taken profits and you are thinking to just do a swing trade, we might be getting closer to the final technical target. Of course, if you're holding Bitcoin and you want to keep holding it and you think that's the right thing to do, that's absolutely fine. For continuation, what we really care at the moment is if there was any sort of rejection here. A very bullish continuation pattern right now will be that the price comes some of the liquidity from this fair value gap formed by this large candle with no overlap with the previous or following candle, and then heads back up to challenge once again the local high. Basically, very similar to what we did here. We came to the first fair value gap, took that liquidity and shoot back up. I have to be fully honest, I was expecting to take some of this liquidity because in the past month, we've been only going up, leaving liquidity absolutely everywhere untaken. And that's typical not just of a bull market, but when you are about to hit a blow off top. That sort of behavior, it's only seen in those circumstances. So yes, I see Bitcoin very bullish. I think it could continue going higher. But when Bitcoin behaves in this way, I rather focusing my time on swing trade it rather than holding it, because during these days, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we saw a 20% correction or potentially a larger one. During this full run that we have had here, there's only been a maximum of 21% corrections. Yes, Bitcoin is becoming less volatile, absolutely yes, but that doesn't take away the fact that Bitcoin could still do a 30 or a 40% correction. And currently, today, we are at an extreme level of greed. You can see here that we are at 79. Yesterday we were at 76. If we compare the levels of greed with the timing in the market, unfortunately in this chart I cannot show you older than that, but here we are, late 2019, 2020, COVID crash, and you can see that those times around the halving we had lots of red and some periods with some extreme greed as well. You can tell there's extreme greed because it's the strong green color. In this case, it's kind of mixed with the normal green. In September, we had also some run here with some extreme greed. And then the actual last leg of the bull market here is where all this extreme greed reaches levels of 92, 89 and stuff like that. Later, we had two legs, but a lot of people were left. And many people say that this last move to the upside is considered still a dead cat bounce, driven mostly by leverage. And where we are, you can see that there's still not a lot of extreme greed, but considering that this is going on pre-halving in the cycle, it's really an anomaly in regards to the past performance of Bitcoin. And you can leave me a comment down below telling me that Bitcoin has changed forever, and I will probably say that partially you're right, but at the same time, I'm tempted to say that the pattern is that most of the time, most of the people are saying that everything has changed, but in fact, 99% of the time, things haven't changed, and it's just the same, and possibly this is a local top, in which case all the people that are saying that, well, Bitcoin should only go up endlessly now, then are gonna go fully quiet. Looking at the delta right now, we are at a level that we haven't seen in quite a few days. This is above 400K. You can see that in all these moves sideways, we were fluctuating between minus 60 to possibly plus 50. So very narrow, the delta. That means that there were equivalent amount of longs and short mostly. But right now, the number of longs is a lot more than the shorts. This means that if price found a reason to really drop big, like a whale dump on us, very large amount, or some sort of FUD comes into the market, with all this liquidity from longs exposed big in the market, there could be a very big correction coming. In terms of alts, be very careful because we are on the total 3-4 hour right above the Nadaraya Watson. Usually touching this level is a great time to take some profits from your alts. The cyclic RSI is also above the upper band and about to do a bearish cross. Ethereum BTC on the price seems to be coming below this trend line. On the RSI, everything looks very healthy. We have higher highs and higher lows on the momentum, so I'm not very worried about Ethereum. Compared to what the indexes are doing, Bitcoin is having a laugh. What I'm going to show you now is extremely important. This is really the big deal when it comes to what is Bitcoin going to do next. What we have here in the middle is the liquidity injections. It's a macroeconomy indicator that shows us the total aggregated value in liquidity that is being injected into the full macroeconomy. And you can see that Bitcoin reacts to the liquidity injections in a positive way. Notice that the effect is delayed, and at the same time, when the liquidity injections are smaller globally, the price tends to stop on the run and eventually it starts a downtrend unless the liquidity comes back, like you can see here. We've been reviewing what's going on with this consistently in this channel, and we will continue to do so because I believe that there are many things that can forecast what Bitcoin is going to do. Some are more accurate, and I will say this is one of the top 10 things that you could be looking if you're planning to hold or if you're planning to distribute Bitcoin. In this area here, you can see that the liquidity injections are increasing. I added to the indicator here an EMA tracking the liquidity. Is this yellow line that is moving, an EMA, and is using 100 and tracking the liquidity injections. And because I also discovered that it's not just about being very high in liquidity injections, but it's also important to know relatively where are these liquidity injections placed in the chart against the EMA. For example, in all this area here, we are above the EMA, and all this area here, we are below the EMA. You can tell that the effect is delayed by seeing that this line starts from here increasing, but the price is taking about 2 to 3 months to react to the new trend of the liquidity. The same happens around here. There's a massive drawdown here in terms of liquidity injections. In fact, it goes straight below the EMA and then it touches the EMA 100 as resistance. So you could argue that the price continue going higher for about 2 months while the liquidity goes going down. And those are big divergences. The point is, when there is a divergence, it doesn't play out immediately. You have a window of 2 months to 3 months of divergence before you see the reversal. During the times that we were below the EMA, the price challenged the highs, but it wasn't able to go anywhere apart from getting rejected. In this area here, we start having an uptrend on Bitcoin as well, and it's a bit late in relation to these injections being above the EMA. You can see that it starts about 50 days after the first time that we are above the EMA of the liquidity injections. And why am I showing all of this? Because I'm trying to forecast when are we due for that correction based on the fact that currently we are in an obvious divergence. This line in liquidity is coming down. We've been below the EMA for about 17 days, which is not that much, and we are having our first pump here in liquidity, but still below the EMA, and the price continues going higher. So nothing out of the ordinary with the behavior that we can observe in the past between liquidity and Bitcoin. I'm tempted to say from the moment that we are below the EMA, if we count 60 days, that is April. If we count 90 days, that is May. And I will say that the typical behavior here is that if we continue during that time below this EMA, meaning that the liquidity is still going down, it will pull back not just Bitcoin, but also the S&P that currently is doing absolutely the opposite of the liquidity in the macroeconomy. The only thing that could break this analysis is the fact that this hill here is a lot larger than any other liquidity injection that we have seen in the past few years. The maximum we ever reached was 206, and we have had 300, which is 50% more than any of these other hills here. And that changes a lot of things because, for example, now we are 17 days below the EMA, but we are still at a level 119. And typically in all the other hills, when we are below the EMA, we quickly go from 80 and then to 31 and 15. And that definitely helps to push Bitcoin down very quickly because there's no longer liquidity to be injected. But now, even though we are below the EMA, we are still at a very high number. So this still constitutes a heck of a lot of liquidity into the system. So I cannot fully conclude what is more important, that the liquidity is coming down, or if we really need to be waiting for a specific low number of liquidity into the system to start calling out for a potential top of both Bitcoin and the S&P. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this update. Let me know in the comments if you want me to include any topic on TA for the next video. I have been meaning to make some review of some altcoins and I keep forgetting about that. Bots are still doing great. Rigor is about to take over Messenger in very few days. It's not even a month. This has been running for maybe 1.5 weeks. It's set up to be the very aggressive bot for the bull market. High risk, high reward. I'm expecting it at any point in time to overtake Messenger. So I'll keep an eye on all those other bots. Make sure that you have a look. There's bots for all risk appetites. All instructions are in the link in the description. If you want to trade Bitcoin, run bots for free, or use leverage, I recommend that you have a look at OKX, and I'm currently running this exclusive event to get up to 60,000 in rewards. The link is also in the description. You have to use that link to open a new account on OKX and also click join now to make sure that you're participating and getting these rewards. And before I let you go, I have to make you aware that these levels that were at 68 expecting to short Bitcoin have been moved now lower. For a while they were gone, but now they are back here, and they placed them this time at 64.7 and 64.5. Very interesting. In terms of support, there is some support here at 51K and some smaller orders trying to catch Bitcoin at 55.8 as well. All right, guys, that's all from me. See you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.